Good morning and a very warm welcome. You're watching the Breakfast Rundown on TV1. I'm Therunee Karunaratne. We're coming to you live and direct from our Newsfirst studios here in Colombo. Well, the amended Provincial Council's election bill is set to be presented in Parliament next week. And meanwhile, another consignment of government-ordered rice stocks have arrived in the country. Details on these local stories as well as several other important local items are coming up right here on the Breakfast Rundown. And as for news overseas, this morning we have the latest development with regards to the political crisis in South Korea, as well as updates concerning the two very unfortunate New Year's Day incidents that were reported from the United States. Stay tuned with us. We have all the news in detail. Well, on to the top local story for this morning. The Ministry of Public Administration, Provincial Councils and Local Government has announced that the amended Provincial Council's elections bill will be presented to Parliament next week. Minister Professor Chandana Aberatna stated that the bill has already been gazetted. He mentioned that after the bill is presented to Parliament, it will be passed by this month, provided that there are no objections in court. Subsequently, the government plans to hold the Provincial Council elections before the month of April, ensuring that it does not interfere with the conduction of the GCE ordinary level examination for this year. The Provincial Council elections, which were actually scheduled to be held in 2023, could not be carried out due to the failure to allocate adequate funds from the Treasury of Sri Lanka. Accordingly, the Cabinet recently decided to cancel the nominations for the election in order to provide an opportunity for the new voter base to also participate. Meanwhile, the Sri Lanka State Trading Corporation says that another consignment of rice ordered by the government has arrived in the country. Its chairman Ravindra Fernando stated that 520 metric tons of rice were imported to the country in this manner. Now, this rice stock will be distributed to Lanka Sirasa as well as cooperative outlets starting today. He adds that the first consignment of 5,200 metric tons of rice ordered by the government is expected to arrive in the country before the 7th of January under several consignments. Meanwhile, the tender process for importing 30,000 metric tons of salt is also scheduled to conclude today. Ravindra Fernando also stated that the salt shipment is expected to arrive in Sri Lanka by the 31st of this month. And in more local news, the Minister of Public Administration, Provincial Councils and Local Government says that approximately 30 billion rupees remain unpaid in pension arrears and gratuities. Minister Professor Chandana Aberatna stated that around 600,000 pensioners are facing much inconvenience due to this. He also stated that some pension arrears have been outstanding since 1992. Professor Aberatna further emphasized that plans are being made to settle the outstanding pension arrears and gratuities promptly. Discussions with the Ministry of Finance are also planned to ensure that it happens properly. He also noted that several previous governments had neglected the payment of pension gratuities, and he has instructed officials to expedite this settlement. Meanwhile, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Employment says that 18 political appointees, including ambassadors and high commissioners, have been recalled to Sri Lanka. Deputy Minister Arun Hemachandra mentioned that they were recalled as part of the new government's vision to make foreign service an efficient and effective service. However, he also clarified that Mahinda Samarasinghe will continue to serve as Sri Lanka's ambassador to the United States of America. Deputy Minister Hemachandra further emphasized that the current government is committed to establishing a public service free from political influence. Now, the Department of Government Printing has taken steps to introduce a new website following the recent cyber attack on its previous site. Senior Information Engineer of the Sri Lanka Computer Emergency Readiness Team, or SL-CERT, Charuka Damanupula mentioned that efforts are currently underway to restore the website to normalcy. He added that the cyber attack was successful due to certain vulnerabilities in the previous website, which may have made it easier for the hacker to gain access. And in more local news, an investigation has been initiated regarding the leakage of the geography paper of the third term examination in the North Central province of Sri Lanka. Now, this investigation is being carried out under the supervision of Secretary of Education of the North Central province, Sirimevan Dharmasena. He said that the question paper has been annulled by now and steps are being taken to prepare a brand new question paper for the students. The Secretary of Education of the North Central province added that additionally, steps are being taken against the teacher who leaked the answer sheet via social media and that further steps will be taken accordingly. And on to your weather update for this morning. The Met Department says that the prevailing showery condition in the northern, north central, eastern and Uva provinces is expected to reduce temporarily from today. Several spells of showers will occur in the Uva province and in the Ampara and Hambantota districts. Showers or thunder showers will occur at several places in the western, Sabaragamuwa and central provinces and in the Galle and Mathura district during the afternoon or night. Fairly strong winds of 30 to 40 kilometers per hour can be expected at times over the northern, eastern, north central and northwestern provinces as well as in the Hambantota district. Misty conditions can be expected at some places in the western, Sabaragamuwa and central provinces and in the Galle and Mathura districts during the morning hours as well. And as always, the general public is advised to take adequate precautions to minimize damages caused by temporary localized strong winds and lightning during these thunder showers. Well, let's move on to news overseas. As we all know, South Korea is in the midst of a political crisis which began in the beginning of the month of December when President Yoon was impeached for imposing martial law in the country. Well, this morning we have one of the latest developments in this regard. Police officers in South Korea have arrived at President Yoon Suk-yeol's home in a bid to arrest him over his short-lived declaration of martial law in early December 2024. Now, about 20 officers marched to the presidential residence at about 8 a.m. local time. Yoon's lawyer says they will challenge this quote-unquote unlawful arrest warrant. A court issued the warrant earlier this week against Yoon after he refused to answer summons to appear before officials investigating him for abusing his power and inciting an insurrection. Now, South Korea has been in political crisis since this short-lived martial law declaration within the country. Yoon was suspended from duties on the 14th of December after lawmakers voted to impeach him, but he can only be removed from office if this is upheld by the country's constitutional court. We have two more international news items coming in this morning, both coming in from the US. Two very tragic incidents were reported on New Year's Day, one being a crowd ramming that occurred in New Orleans in the state of Louisiana. Well, Bourbon Street in New Orleans has reopened after being closed for investigation since the deadly attack on New Year's Day. Meanwhile, a minute's silence for the 15 killed was held at the postponed Sugar Bowl college football game. The victims include an aspiring nurse and a father of two, as well as a dozen of others injured. The FBI says it now believes the man who carried out the attack, Shamsuddin Jabbar, was acting alone. The 42-year-old army veteran was killed in a gunfight with police after he drove a pickup truck into crowds in the iconic nightlife hotspot. Police say the Texas resident planted two explosive devices and posted videos online proclaiming allegiance to the Islamic State group before this attack was carried out by him. Meanwhile, the FBI confirms there is no definitive link with the explosion of a Tesla Cybertruck outside the Trump Hotel in Las Vegas. Meanwhile, U.S. officials said that the man who rented a Tesla Cybertruck that exploded outside a Trump hotel in Las Vegas was an active duty U.S. Special Forces soldier, and he shot himself dead before this blast. Las Vegas police have identified Matthew Allen Livelsberger of the Colorado Springs in Colorado as the driver of the vehicle in the explosion investigation. The Clark County Coroner's Office said that Livelsberger's cause of death was suicide from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. 7 people were injured when this vehicle, which was filled with fuel canisters as well as firework mortars, exploded on New Year's Day. Officials said that all the injuries were minor, however. Police said Livelsberger drove the Cybertruck to the city on Wednesday morning, less than 2 hours before the detonation. Parked in front of the hotel near a glass entrance, the vehicle started to smoke and then exploded. Las Vegas authorities said the Cybertruck helped contain the explosion, sending it vertical rather than outward. Nearby glass doors and windows of the hotel did not shatter in the blast. Authorities say they have yet to determine any motive behind this incident.
Colorado Springs, Colorado, born July 22nd of 1987. Now, as you'll see here on a picture of his driver's license, let's see, the question really still remains for me, and I know that there's a lot of you folks in the media that are identifying this person as the person in our vehicle. As I mentioned to you already, his body is burnt beyond recognition, and I do still not have confirmation 100% that that is the individual that was inside of our vehicle. And so as I'm calling it now, the subject or person of interest, I will not come back until I have the confirmation through DNA or medical records that this is indeed, in fact, the subject inside of the vehicle. Now, further complicating this identification of this individual, we also discovered through the coroner's office that the individual had sustained a gunshot wound to the head prior to the detonation of the vehicle. One of the handguns was found at his feet inside of the vehicle.
With that, we bring to a close this morning's edition of the Breakfast Rundown. I'm Therunee Karunaratne. Today marks the start of a weekend, so I'll see you once again on the 6th of January, Monday, right here on TV1 at 7 a.m. Until then, take care. Have a wonderful day and weekend ahead.